Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. We are here today to talk about something very interesting. Now, the Vice President of Design, Aaron Forsyth, has come out on October 31st and stated that they will be doing bannings every single Monday. Well, not doing bannings, doing banning announcements every single Monday. It's not guaranteed there will be a ban every single Monday. And people are angry. Like, oh boy, there's some rage going on. And I mean, come on, it's the Magic community. We the online portions, there's portions of it. Not everybody, you know. We're a gigantic group, and there's always bound to be some people who are going to be annoyed by some things, whatever. But either way, there's a bunch of anger being directed towards Aaron right now. Now, to make sure we're all on the same page about what's going on, these Monday bannings are specifically in regards to Pioneer. Now, I imagine most of you have already heard Pioneer is the new format that Wizards has launched, and it goes all the way back to Return to Ravnica forward. So anything from Return to Ravnica all the way up until today and going forward in terms of standard sets are all fair game for Pioneer. Now, Pioneer currently only has 5 cards on the banned list, and that's the 5 fetch lands. Now, clearly, with a format like Pioneer, more bans are going to be required. I don't think anybody would dispute, well, actually, I shouldn't say I don't think anybody would. Some people would dispute it, but those are unreasonable people who don't understand that bannings are indeed a necessary part of Magic the Gathering. Now, the reason that these Pioneer bans will need to take place is because we have X number of years of broken combos. I mean, there's some stuff that just in standard all by itself, you combine a few cards and oops, you get yourself some broken nonsense, right? Saheeli Faladar, I'm looking at you. So, basically when it comes to Pioneer, you've got multiple numbers of years of broken combos that can show up. But at the same time, these broken combos from standard may not be broken in Pioneer. There may be balancing issues in terms of, oh, check it out, these other decks can actually handle the combo no problem, and it doesn't dominate the meta. It's only broken if it warps things to an insane degree. I mean, we've seen that recently in standard with things like Fields of the Dead and Oko. But either way, Pioneer is highly likely to require some bans. I mean, it may not be the bans you think are coming. It may turn out that there are other synergies that work well that we haven't seen yet because of cross-block sort of scenario. You're dealing with a fair number of years worth of cards to choose from, and we've seen from Modern, the more cards you have to choose from, the more nonsense you can get up to. And there may be some combos that weren't really strong enough for Modern, so they never really surfaced, but turn out to be too strong for Pioneer. So bannings for Pioneer are definitely going to be required. Now, why are people all up in arms? Well, first, let me read out Aaron Forsyth's. He did this in a 2-stage tweet, basically, just to make sure we both have, all of us, you and me, I guess both. I mean, unless you're watching the video with somebody else. If you're watching the video with someone else, make them leave the room and go watch it on something else, on their phone or something, so it's still both, because I need to be correct. Anyhow, Aaron Forsyth said, our original stated Pioneer plan was to run it on MTGO initially and ban aggressively and off cycle, which meant basically whenever we felt like we had the justification, any day, any time. The second tweet continues the statement, since organizations are already committing to tabletop events despite this, we're going to just make banned list announcements changes on Mondays instead of at any time. We'll announce every Monday afternoon, even if we do nothing. So what this means is every single Monday, there will be a Pioneer update, a banned and restricted update. Well, it's not actually, I guess it can't really be a banned and restricted because there is no restricted cards whatsoever in the newer formats. Now, this is actually a topic, now that a quick aside, there's a lot of people asking, hey, wait a minute, why can't Wizards just like restrict Oko? Why couldn't they restrict Field of the Dead? Honestly, I have seen this concept of restricting come up a lot in the comments. So we will do a video soon talking about the concept of restrictions versus banned. But either way, this particular Pioneer announcement subset that will be happening every Monday is just a ban announcement. They will not be bringing restrictions to Pioneer, just outright axing cards and banning them if they prove to be problematic for the format. So, why are people getting worked up about this? Well, if you watched the previous video I did to this, I talked about how Star City Games was so frustrated with what's going on with Standard right now in terms of like Oko running rampant and not really being a format a lot of people want to be engaged in. So they've gone ahead and they canceled the big Standard event they were going to have, and they have instead replaced it with Pioneer, right? So all of a sudden it's like yank the rug out under Standard going, this isn't going to be any fun. Let's dive into Pioneer. So there are people who are looking at what's happened here with what Aaron Forsyth has said, and they're saying, oh, you're just being petty and getting back at Star City Games. Way to take a swipe at Star City Games. There are multiple people who are actually saying this on Twitter, angrily going, oh, why are you doing this? This is in response to Star City Games. You're being petty. Now, here's where I get confused, because if they left things the way they were going to, that would be worse for Star City Games, right? Here's how they were planning to do the Pioneer bans. They were going to do them scattershot on the drop of a hat. So it's Tuesday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They've been paying attention to what's going on MTGO, and they go, oh man, we gotta ban Goat Puncher. Like, Goat Puncher is ruining the meta. We gotta get Goat Puncher out of here. No more punching goats. So they just go, bam, effective immediately. Goat Puncher is punched out of the format. He's banned, right? So they would just do that Wednesday, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or Thursday, 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, literally no restrictions as to when they were going to do these sort of bannings, right? They want to give the format the ability to grow and not be crushed by anything. Because you have to understand, if you don't have stewardship over a format, it can crumble, right? That's what happened with Brawl originally. When they originally released Brawl in Dominaria, like around the Dominaria time, it flopped miserably because Brawl was dominated by Brawl, who was the chief artificer or whatever, chief, I don't know, whatever. Anyways, he was a blue rare wizard from the Kaladesh block, and he dominated Brawl. Wizards didn't step in and do anything about it. They didn't ban Brawl, and so Brawl itself collapsed because nobody wanted to play it. It was just completely dominated by this one deck type. And if you're not playing it, it's like, okay, so if you, the overall thrust of this is, if you don't give enough attention in terms of paying like mind to what needs to be banned, your format can flop. So what they want to do is they want to take Pioneer, they want to watch it on MTGO and go, okay, problem gone, problem gone, problem gone, problem gone. And what they thought was big vendors like Star City Games would take a little bit of time before they would really start to introduce Pioneer, allow the format for the dust to settle a little to determine what should be in the format, what shouldn't be in the format. But instead, and this is the wording that's important from his announcement, so I'll read it again to make sure everybody understands here. It says, since organizations are already committing to tabletop events despite this, we're just going to make banned list announcements changes on Mondays instead of at any time. We'll announce every Monday afternoon, even if we do nothing. So what Wizards of the Coast is actually doing in this scenario is they're bringing stability. Instead of turning around to Star City Games, because this is how people are acting. People on Twitter are flaming out going, oh my God, you're doing this to get at Star City. But if you actually understand what he's saying, it's the opposite. They said, okay, since organizations like Star City are going to plow ahead with this concept, what we're going to do is we're going to offer some measure of stability. Instead of this scattershot at any time approach where you could be like, hey, guess what? There's a Star City event on Wednesday, and it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesday, 1 hour before the tournament starts. By the way, the key parts of your deck are banned. That could happen under the old way they were going to do things. Now, it's once a week. Now, yes, once a week doesn't give you a lot of planning and testing time, but it gives you a much more secure window as opposed to just random, here you go, random, here you go. It can happen 2 minutes before the tournament starts. So to me, it seems completely unreasonable to go and yell at that Wizards of the Coast, and by extension, Aaron Forsyth, whatever, whoever it is who's getting yelled at, in this case, obviously it's Aaron, but it seems incredibly unreasonable to go and say, you're doing this to get back at Star Star City Games when what they're doing is they're working with the choices of Star City Games. They're not going, well, harumph. You don't want to run standard tournaments because Oko's running rampant and whatever. Well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to spike your wheel. We're going to kick the spokes out of your wheel. How do you like that? That's not what's going on at all. They've actually come out and said, okay, we see how fast people want to dive into Pioneer, and they have to recognize that more people want to dive into Pioneer because they have made a dog's breakfast of Standard, all right? The Field of the Dead ban followed up by what's going on with Oko. We don't know what's going on. Now, I do want to say as a side note as well, keep in mind that these Monday bans that we're talking about aren't for Standard or any other format. It is just Pioneer we're talking about. So don't get your hopes up that on Monday, all of a sudden, they're going to throw in an Oko ban or anything like that. The next official ban for every other format, BNR, Ban and Restricted Update, will happen on the 18th of November. So we've got about 2.5 weeks to ride this rocky road before we see what happens. And I'll be honest, I don't think that things are going to be pretty even after the next ban announcement. Regardless of the outcome, regardless of what they choose to ban, or God forbid, no bans, I think we're still going to be looking at a rough spot in Standard for a bit, but hopefully the choices they make will alleviate some of the pressure. But that's a side note. Honestly, I just thought it was absolutely absurd to see people having a go at Wizards of the Coast when they're actually doing something nice. They're not going, grr to you, Star City. They're going, okay, we see what you're doing. We get why you're doing what you're doing. And instead of getting upset about it, like they've done about other things, where they get all upset and like they just get kind of petty, in this case, they're being bigger sports in terms of going, okay, what we'll do is we'll hit you every Monday. And personally, I would be okay with ban announcements happening more frequently. I gave it a little bit of thought about this whole Monday banning concept, and I think Wizards of the Coast could actually adopt this. They could just, every week, if they want to, go ahead, ban some cards. Like, I think that the way that Magic moves right now is so rapid in terms of changes that maybe every 2 months isn't frequent enough, right? They used to do the ban and restricteds like 4 times a year. Then they switched it to 6 times a year. I mean, doing it once a month feels all right, but they could do it every 2 weeks or even every week. And I would be all right with that if it helped to maintain a healthy meta. Now, there would be the argument that perhaps there would be too much of a knee-jerk reaction, stuff getting banned too quickly, because they do need a certain amount of time to gather information. But, I mean, you can still have the same amount of time gathering information without having to wait as long to actually enact the bans as well. So overall, from my perspective, what Wizards of the Coast has done in this scenario is actually nice. I think it's good. Instead of, they could have just been like, nah, brah, nah, you know, we're still going to do our random bannings. We don't care what you're doing. Instead, they've said, okay, you want to play Pioneer? We want Pioneer to succeed. So as a result, we're going to give you the most stability that we can while also keeping our hands firmly on the reins of the format to ensure the best results. And I like to have a fairly balanced approach with my channel. I know people will come along and go, oh, you're so negative all the time. And I'm really not. I do a whole range of different things, and I can understand how sometimes people will perceive my channel's like negative focus. There's a number of reasons for that, right? I mean, sometimes a bunch of bad stuff is happening in Magic, like it's been happening lately. I like to talk about what's current. People like me talking about what's current, so that's what ends up on the table. But at the same time, I'm also willing to come out, point out what Wizards done well. There's some cards from the new Thero spoilers that I'm super excited to talk about, so those videos will be coming as well. I just want to keep it balanced. I think that's the fairest way to do things. I don't feel like varnishing everything over and going, everything's amazing, and ignoring every problem. And I also don't feel like being relentlessly just talking about negative things, because that can wear on all of us. And I want to have a good time, my friends. I appreciate you being here, and I have a good time doing what I'm doing. So I will continue to do things the way that I'm doing them. Now, I'm interested in your opinion, specifically. I mean, obviously, it's pretty easy to know what most people's opinions are going to be on Wizards getting treated unfairly, where it's just like, okay, you're on Wizards' side on this one. But what I am interested in, how frequently would you guys like to see ban announcements happen? Is it something like, are you like me? Would you be okay with it happening once a week? Do you already feel like once every 2 months is too much? What is your opinion of the perfect balance in terms of how frequent they should be dropping these banned and restricted announcements on us. I mean, it's literally just typing some stuff up, putting it up on a page, and it's to maintain the health of the format. So overall, to me, more frequency seems like it would be a win. All right? So let me know what you guys think. I want to give a big shout out to my patrons and channel members. I appreciate all of you being here. I will see all of you here tomorrow. And in the meantime, remember that together we are the sixth color of magic.